And we talk about free speech, and there's a number of famous people who have been imprisoned because of what they say. Lucy Connolly, for example, what's your views on her?
Well, she shouldn't be in prison. Undoubtedly, a silly tweet, a vile tweet. Um, but it was a tweet that was so evidently born out of anger and despondency at what was going on, what had happened in Southport, and or what else is going on in the country. And people must not, in because they've said something on social media, be put in prison. Lucy Colony should never have been put in prison, and I think there were 400 others alongside her who were incarcerated after the Southport protests because of what they said, not because of what they did, including, of course, and we must never forget Peter Lynch, who was one of those, and he hanged himself in prison. A man who'd been a perfectly law-abiding individual until he said and said, said and said a few things and put some conspiracy theories or looked like conspiracy theories on a placard and was arrested and put in prison for it. He couldn't take it because he was essentially a fundamentally law-abiding individual, and it was too much for him to take. And he committed suicide. That the blood of Peter Lynch is on the hands of the state of the United Kingdom, and that is a terrible position to be in. In the clamping down of free speech on Peter Lynch, we actually committed him to death. That is a terrible position for this country to be in. And Lucy Connolly, I'm sure, is suffering great mental perturbations, at the moment in prison. It must be wretched for her to be there simply because she said a few things on a social media platform that others took as being vile. I mean, perhaps they were vile, but she should not be in prison for them.
Yeah.
She also, by the way, said a number of good things, how protests shouldn't be violent, etc. But they weren't used in the balance to ensure that she wasn't incarcerated.
Yeah, and absolutely. And she took down the tweet after a period of time. You talk about a two-tier justice system. And she's apparently receiving appalling treatment inside. We heard about an alleged attack on her by some of the guards and terrible conditions there. All of that will be unpacked appropriately.